At this point, it should come as no surprise that my two great loves in life are thrifting and reading. And a few weeks ago, I was transported back to my middle school days when I thrifted the entire Uglies series for less than $10. So I decided to take a trip down memory lane and go ahead and reread the series for the very first time since I was probably like 13, which tragically was a very long time ago, and see if they really are as good as I remember them being, or if they were just some big fad book that was just popular when I was in middle school. We'll have to wait and find out. Let's get started. It's time to start. Just looking at this cover literally gives me so much nostalgia. I don't know if you guys remember reading these specific covers. There's two like covers that were popular when I was reading these when I was like in middle school, and this one is probably the most popular one. I just think it's so cool. Like, I love it, and it's so interesting to me that I feel like this girl, she looks so normal. Like, she looks like what we would all look like, and yet in this world she's considered an ugly, because in all the other books you'll see that they all have faces on them and they all get more and more extravagant as time goes on, which I think is super interesting. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get started on this. So part one, Turning Pretty. And I have to admit, I did read the first line of this already, and it's just such a good first line of a book. Let's read it together. The early summer sky was the color of cat vomit. Come on, that's so just different. It's so different, so unique, kind of gross, and you're like, what the heck am I getting myself into? Yeah, super, super interesting. It goes on to say, of course, Tally thought, you'd have to feed your cat only salmon-flavored cat food for a while to get the pinks right. The scuttling clouds did look a bit fishy, rippled into scales by a high altitude wind. Yeah. The main character, her name is Tally Youngblood, and I think we kind of follow her throughout the entire series. So Tally is 16, or about to turn 16, and she's about to go into New Pretty Town, which is what it's called. She lives in Uglyville right now. And basically what happens is they get, like, when she turns 16, they become pretty. So they go under insane plastic surgery. Everything gets replaced, basically. They get new skin. It's all perfect. Like, they take their bones out, basically, and put them in with, like, padding, and they put fillers in, like, all this. So, like, they literally become these, like, perfect human beings. And they all kind of look the same, which is, I think, where the series is kind of revolve around. Yeah, she's gonna break into Pretty Town and try to find her friend. So we'll get to reading. Oh, she found her friend. She found Paris. Yay, good for her. Oh, is he gonna be a jerk? Why are you gonna be a jerk? Because you're pretty. Alrighty, we're about 116 pages into this book, and a lot has happened so far. So let me do a quick little overview of what we have gone through. So essentially, Tally, our main character, I'm assuming that this is her, I could be wrong, but she meets this girl named Shay, and Shay and her are the last ones to kind of turn pretty. And so while they are waiting, they go on all these fun little adventures, they break a lot of rules, and they go out to these ruins where basically our society used to live, like the society that we live in today. They go out to this area and they find these ruins, and they have a lot of fun. They go to like an amusement park where they like ride a roller coaster and stuff, and they are searching, well, Shay is searching for somebody named Daniel. And she says that Daniel kind of has this society that lives out there, and they don't have to turn pretty. They can think for themselves, and they can all just be ugly. And so because they're all ugly, nobody's ugly, you know? And so on the day that they are about to go and get turned into pretties, Shay runs away, and she gives Tally a letter saying, if you ever want to find me, here's some clues. And because she does that, Tally is not able to get turned into a pretty. She actually gets taken by a special force called the Specials, which is, again, another book later on in the series, but she gets taken by them, and they tell her, we won't turn you pretty until you can tell us where Shay is. And she doesn't know where Shay is, and so she just found the letter that kind of gives her all the clues, and I think she's gonna go look for Shay. But the whole time I've also been wondering, like, where the heck are their parents? Like, do they have parents in this? So we'll see, because I don't think I remember them being a big part of their lives. Parents aren't, I don't think, in this book series. I don't know, 116 pages in, I'm definitely getting more interested now. I think it kind of took a while for me to get interested, but I do like it a lot so far. So we'll keep on reading and see what we think. always cold because I always have blankets everywhere. Like everywhere. Anyway, we've made it 252 pages into this book. I am cruising through. It is actually pretty easy to read. The pages are also kind of smaller and they don't have as much text on it, so it's, I feel like, a little bit easier to plow through, but man, we're getting to the good stuff, I think. Okay, I kind of forgot there was a little bit of romance in this. And there's a little bit of romance in this, so I'm kind of liking it. Okay, great. Good morning, friends. It's the next day and I almost finished Uglies last night, but it was getting pretty late and I needed to go to bed. But we are on page 368, so we're close to being done. I literally think that I'll be able to finish it within the next hour or so. And stuff has been happening and I'm literally so sucked into this world now that I cannot wait to keep reading. I love it when that happens, when you just find a book that's so good that even though it's super long, you can keep reading it forever and ever and ever, and it just, like, you just want to keep reading it all the time. That's kind of how I'm feeling now with the Uglies series. So yeah, she's at the point where basically the special circumstances came. They destroyed the city that, you know, the smoke that she was living in, but she escaped with David and they are now going to go and try to rescue everyone. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I know what happens, but it'll be interesting. I feel like because there's not very much left, but I know how it ends. It's gonna be a lot of action packed into these last 100 pages or so. How many pages actually do I have left? We're on page 368, 60-ish pages left. So I'm excited to see what's gonna happen because there's gonna be a lot of stuff that happens in this. So let's get reading. Just got to the very last chapter of this book. The end. Oh my gosh. I have the second book to this right here. Literally right here. Man, it's so freaking good. It's so good, you guys. This book ends with Tally being able to rescue pretty much everybody from special circumstances, and as they're in hiding, she kind of realizes that she needs to go back into the city and become pretty in order for them to experiment safely on her to see if they've made a cure for the damage that they do to your brain when you become pretty. So the last line of this book is her going to the authorities to turn herself in, and she goes, "I'm Tally Youngblood," she said, "make me pretty." So this book, I think, will be all about her being pretty and then hopefully being rescued and changing, because they have pills that they wanted people to take to change them, to keep them pretty, I guess, but it changes their mind back to like how they were before they had the surgery. So I'm really excited. This one is actually shorter than this book. This book was 400 pages and this one's only like 370. So we can definitely cruise through this one pretty quick as well, man. It's just so good. Like, the series is just, it's just so good. So I'm loving it so far. Anyway, I'm excited to start reading this one. We're gonna start it right now. Alright, you guys, I finally got back from my little, not a beach day, but we went to the reservoir to go do a little bit of paddleboarding, and I've been just honestly cruising through this book. I started it yesterday. I'm on page 214. I will say I am having an easy time like reading it, but I do feel like the first book was definitely a little bit better. It's just that there's like a lot of stuff like is happening, but it's not really getting to the point, and we're now like over halfway through the book, and I feel like something big is about to actually start happening. And I think obviously like he is laying the groundwork, Scott Westerfeld is laying the groundwork for what's gonna happen in the next book probably, but this originally was just a trilogy, and I just feel like there's just not a whole lot happening in this book. Like he definitely could have like done a way better like gripping story of things, and I just feel like the same things have been happening over and over and over again. I just wish like we don't get hardly any of the same people from the first book in this book, which is, you know, obviously she's in like a new town, but I'm just kind of confused why they haven't had the whole first book if we're not going to even bring any of them into it, or we haven't seen hardly anybody and we're 200 pages in. Like it's just making no sense to me. I'll get back to reading because it really is good. Like the whole series itself is good. So we'll see how it ends. Hi everyone, I just got back from the park. It's actually like starting to get kind of dark outside, and I have made it. I'm literally like, I'm 20 pages away from finishing this book. We are so freaking close, as you can see, so close. I'm gonna go on a little walk real quick, and I think I'm going to listen to the last little bit of it. I'm almost done with this book, and it's gotten to the point where it's finally like really good. Tally has finally like escaped her city. She's been reunited with people from the first book, but a lot of crazy stuff has been going down with the people from this book as well. So it's just kind of all finally coming together. There's finally a lot of like action and like gripping excitement, which again, I hate that you know, they waited till the last 100 pages to do it, but we got there regardless. Still super good. So I'm gonna go on a little walk, listen to my audiobook, and then we'll check in with you once I'm finished. I'm kind of sad that it's getting close to this book ending, but I'm really excited for the next book. So let's go see what we think about this one. Small rose blooms turned in the water. It's my body fell to the side, but I fell deeper into. Alright, you guys, it's the next day, and I finally finished the Prettiest book last night. As you guys know, because I've talked about it a couple times now at this point, not my favorite out of the series. I think that this book needed to be written so that way more of the series could happen, so you could kind of understand, like get some ground, some good like footing to go. But yeah, not my favorite book, unfortunately. I don't want to rate it lower than 3 stars, although I think it kind of deserves it. Don't hate me, I promise. I'm not trying to hate on it. I think I'm gonna rate it 3 stars, but I don't think it necessarily deserves a 3-star rating. I just think that towards the end it got super good, which is what kind of helped bump it up. But I just felt like it could have just been maybe a shorter bit of the book, and then the rest of it could have been like really exciting. So with that being said, we are finished with this. Moving on to specials. Now this book I started listening to the audiobook this morning, and I'm already 52 pages in. Already so much better. Like so much action has happened, so many things have happened in this book. It's so good. I'm so in love with it. And I think what was interesting is that at the end of this book, at the end of Pretties, it says, look for the thrilling conclusion to the trilogy, Specials by Scott Westerfeld. However, there's one more book after this. So I think in this book, he talks about, let's see, at the very end, in this book at the very end, it says, look for the exciting 4th book in the series, Extras. So I'm not sure why originally it was just like the first 3 and then he went and wrote more. I'm assuming that probably because it was so popular that he was like, I'm gonna write another book about this, or if the book, like I'm excited to read this, I guess is what I'm saying, because it'll be interesting to see what made him change his mind throughout writing this book that made him want to write a 4th one. So should be really good. I'm excited. Already is so good. Already is just so like, we've already seen her interact with people from her past in the first book, people from the second book that we've met. So it's really like action packed. We're getting a lot of like just good content already. We're only 50 pages in. So I'm excited to keep on reading and see what the rest of it is about. But so far, all we know is that she has been turned into a special, which is like a special agent. What I think is also kind of crazy is that in these books, like she's literally 16 years old and they're like sending her out with these people to go and like destroy a population. Like it's kind of insane to me. You're 16, you aren't gonna be able to do stuff like that. So I'm anxious to see kind of what's gonna happen, if that will play into this at all, if, you know, them being so mature is going to, you know, potentially play into like their fall of being so special and unique. kind of confusing. I don't really like how it ends, to be honest. In this book, she has become a special, which is like the most elite type of being that they have in the city. And at the end of the book, she's still special, and she decides that she's gonna stay special for this new like rebellion that's going on. She'll be kind of the special circumstances for the new rebellion. Not really sure how I feel about it. I guess maybe we'll find out more about what happens in Extras, which is the final book of the series. I can't believe that we've literally already gotten here so quickly. Okay, it seems like we will get a couple of new characters in this book, which I think is kind of interesting since it's the last book in the series. You would think that they would introduce new characters earlier on, but I think we'll still get main characters from the other books as well. Anyway, so far I really did enjoy this one. Like, this one was so much better than this one. I will say there's quite a few, like, again, just like different storylines that don't quite make sense. Her like love interest dies in this, you know, book. Spoiler alert, he dies in the book, and then she kind of immediately like goes back to the other love interest. Like, there's just kind of, it's just kind of all over the place in some places. A lot of it doesn't really make sense. I don't know if it's going to make sense in this book or not. I think that's part of the reason why. It's just, you know, it's a book meant for like teenagers, and I'm an adult, so maybe that's why I'm just kind of picking up onto extra things that I probably didn't need to pick up on when I was a teenager reading this, if that makes sense. So anyway, this one's done. We'll start on this one tomorrow because it's like almost midnight now. Yeah, it's literally 11:57 p.m. So I'm gonna go to bed, and then we'll get started on this one in the morning.
Oh, I'm slipping away, so don't let me go, nah, 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 nah. I'm all up in that love.
Alright everybody, it's been a few days since I checked in, and I am camping. Who would have thought? Here, you can even see my cute little tent back there in the background. Here on a little camping trip, a real fast camping trip, but we have almost finished this book. Well, actually, by almost finished, we have made it 50% of the way through. Everyone say hi to Brent. He's filming me right now. So if you see me looking, that's who I'm looking at. Anyway, we're 50% of the way through Extras. I do like this book quite a bit. I think it's just because I like the series of it a lot. What I don't like about this book is that it's from a completely different perspective. It's a different person than the first three books are through. And they kind of reference, well, they barely even referenced Tally, who is the voice of the first three books in this book at all. I know that she's going to become a bigger part of it, but that's kind of frustrating because I just feel like if you're gonna have a whole series, the last book I don't think should be from somebody else's perspective, but that's just my opinion. Either way, super good. Basically it's a couple years after the last book ended, and you're starting to see the situations, like how everything has changed because of the rebellion that they had during the first three books. So really good still. I'm excited to see where this takes me because I think there's some really interesting pieces in here, so we'll go ahead and keep reading.
So, where do we go now? Just let me know that I am safe here in your arms. I wanna stay. I'm slipping away, so don't let me go now. Your love is exceptional. It fills me up.
Good morning, you guys. It's day 2 of our camping trip, and I did not sleep very good last night. Our tent that we have somewhere over there worked out great. Actually, the tent that we have is just kind of like a different type of tent than any other one I've had before, and I was just convinced that it was going to blow over because of the wind last night. It was so crazy, so insane. I probably only got like 5 hours of sleep, which is still pretty good considering, but since it's light outside now, I'm just gonna spend some time reading my book before everyone else wakes up and try to get some more of this done because it's starting to get really good. I mean, it's been really good the whole time, but like now I think the main characters from the first 3 books are going to come into play now, so we'll see how it goes.
So don't let me go now. Your love is exceptional. It fills me up. It's out of control.
We're out here. We found a little froggy in the water. That's cool. Let's go prank someone with it now. You know? Right, we are hiking now in this beautiful canyon here in Capitol Reef. But I have like 2 hours left of my audiobook, and at this point we've kind of have separated a little bit from our group, and I'm kind of in the back group
just taking our time. So I pulled out my AirPods and I'm listening to the last 2 hours of the audiobook. I don't think we'll finish it on this hike, but hopefully we'll get a little bit of a good chunk of it done. So we'll see, but this hike is just beautiful, beautiful.
It's out of control, but I love the runs, yeah.
Here's a check-in. A little waterfall, but we had to we didn't climb over, we climbed around it, but it's pretty cool. Here we go. It's intense. Also, this book is getting intense, so keep on going. I hope we don't die over here. It's a little scary.
Alright everyone, I'm back from my camping trip and I did end up finishing extras while we were out on our trip, and I have quite a few thoughts about this book now that I've had a few days to process it. Overall, the book is a good book. I think I rated it like around 3 stars. It's not a bad book, it's not the best one in the series, but it is a good book. I just don't understand why it was necessarily included in this series, because it's from a completely different characters are in this book. You do see like a few glimpses of the original characters from these books in this book, but they don't I feel like I had a lot of questions when I finished specials. I had a lot of questions that I was wanting to get resolved, things I wanted to know a little bit more, and none of them were answered in this book, unfortunately. But it was kind of fun to get like a different perspective. This is obviously picking up 3 years after this book ends, and so it is from, you know, again, a different perspective, a different point of view, different people. But I just feel like if you were gonna end off the series, you need to do it from the point of view of somebody who was in the original couple of books, not like a complete stranger. So that made no sense to me. Another thing that didn't make any sense to me was the fact that the characters, which I didn't understand until halfway through, are from a completely different country. So they, I'm assuming, are from Japan, or what is modern day Japan, in their world, because like halfway through they start talking about how they are all speaking in Japanese and how they don't speak English very well. That like literally just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, you kind of get little glimpses looking back. I went, oh, okay, obviously they've been speaking Japanese because they've been calling each other sensei. And one of the main characters, his name is Hiro, which I believe is kind of a Japanese name. But it just really caught me off guard when suddenly it was like, oh, and by the way, we're Japanese. Like, it just made, like, I'm not judging Japanese, like that, it's not what I'm trying to say. It just was like completely out of left field, and it was like, okay, weird that it's coming up now. I also just felt like the writing was just a little immature, like the banter back and forth, the conversations just weren't super interesting, weren't super exciting, and it just felt really, really weird. And I didn't really get that in these books, but in this one I just felt like it was just a little forced almost. I don't know if that really explains it very well, but I was just a little bit disappointed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Just a lot of really weird things, like a lot of like open-ended things that were left open-ended that don't really make sense, really, like, I feel like came to the forefront in this book. Yeah, I don't know if you needed this book with these ones. I think you could just read these 3 books and you'd be okay. But if you want to learn a little bit more about somebody else's perspective, then you could go and read this one. But it's not really going to correlate very much in here. So just a little odd, very different. But yeah, still a good book overall. And in terms of the series I would still say is a knockout series. I still really did like it. I really enjoyed it. I think I definitely, you know, caught into like the hype of it when I was younger, just because everybody was reading it. Like, I don't think I would ever want to live in this society that this book portrays now. Like, I would never want to do that, but it's still quite good, and I would definitely recommend reading it. I think if you guys are interested in reading something like this, go ahead and dive right in. I would say the first 3 for sure, and if you're just more curious and you want to know more, go ahead and keep reading the 4th one. So that's my final thoughts on this series. If you guys have made it this far in the video, thank you so much for being here. Go ahead and comment down below, since these books are all about looks and beauty and aesthetics. Comment on the little nail painting emoji and the lipstick emoji in the comment section down below. We can hang out there together, and I will see you all in my next video very, very soon. Bye.